wrap it up.
What we talking about? You always got a subject, E.
I mean, that's what I was waiting on.
I was too, because he always got one. He'll say, "Yo, I got a question." Go ahead, give me the question. E.
Right. That's the preface. Come on.
Yeah, that's the preface. He called me. He called me yesterday. Yo, I got a question. I said, "Hey, don't start this shit today."
Might as well go ahead and turn up a little bit. So I'm sure you saw this clip.
See, told you he had some shit already loaded. You see how you do?
Prepared. I'm just waiting.
Piss some people off.
Well, we do that very well.
Okay, that's the one.
52% of black children in America live without both parents in the household. What would you say is most responsible for this?
The choice that so many women are making to choose the government as husband instead of a black man.
Every time I see this bull-headed bankrupt, bitter, brainless bully, it gives me the fucking creeps. Number one, there are 11 million single-parent homes inside of the United States, and 80% of those homes are led by women. Black women are the most educated group, and when you see those graduates, most of the time they're single mothers. 17% of black women create and lead businesses. That's significantly more than other races of women. And out of all of those women in business, guess how many of them are single mothers? Contrary to what most of y'all believe, government assistance is not some come up. Most single mothers prefer going to work instead. Sitting around getting some chump change from the government is not the best option for a single mother. Most of the mothers who are out here living off Section 8 vouchers are living in poverty-stricken environments filled with crime, drugs, alcohol, and bad education. A government assistance check, not even a child support check, is taking care of half of the expenses that comes when you have children. And know that if he actually took care of his. There is a small percentage of women out there who actually think that government assistance is a come up, and they're out there encouraging other women to get on government assistance. I'm tired of black men trying to make it seem like majority of black women are that ignorant. If you step out the four corners of the hood and go to other places where black women are, you see these mothers out here owning businesses and having 2 and 3 and 4 jobs, not relying on the government or a chump change child support check. I get $264 a month garnished from my son's father's pay. When I filed for government assistance because my son's father left me to die in a damn hotel, the government made him pay that money back. They made me file for child support, and child support was something that my son's father actually requested. Money of no kind, whether it's from the government, a child support check, a business that a woman owns, or a goddamn lottery ticket, none of it will replace the presence or moral support of a father and a husband. Some of us was out here planning to be married. Some of us begged the fathers of our children to be in our child's life. And these men walked off because they didn't feel like they were man enough to be fathers. Start holding these men accountable for the children that they abandoned or the women that they manipulated. And please tell me, if you don't want to be fathers, stop giving away your son. That's your most valuable asset. Why are you giving it to women that you don't even respect and don't even want to be with? To all the men out here that think that single mothers are the problem or single mothers are doing all of this damage to the black community, what you must understand is black men have led this community for years. And it's time to take responsibility for leading that into the ground. And that's the problem with black men like this one. Instead of being the epitome of black man like he's supposed to be, he's walking around here with this little energy. Even if the breakdown of the black family was done to us by design, it's now our decision to repair it. And the only way we would be able to do that is if we do that together. Not sit here blaming each other and pointing fingers at each other when it's really a group effort. First step, black men understanding that they are also part of the problem. Leaders take responsibility for their poor choices. You chose the wrong woman to have children with, and you turn around and abandon those women, the children, and then blame that woman for your choice. You can't keep blaming the women. You can't keep blaming the parent who stayed. And if black women are such a big problem, sir, I need you to come pick up your kids.
I picked up my kids a long time ago. How about that?
What she said was, if black women are such a problem, I'm going to need you to come pick up your kids. So unless
don't worry about it, I did. I picked them up.
Unless you found what she said a problem, she wasn't talking to you.
Yeah, she was a problem. That's why I picked them up.
Okay, so what problem did you have?
And that's why I raised them the way I raised them. And that's why they're responsible men to this day. Because I'm a responsible father.
What did you
I take care of my responsibilities. I don't know who the fuck she talking to. She wasn't talking to me. And she's not talking to all the responsible fathers that's on this goddamn panel that take care of their goddamn kids. See, that's the bullshit that comes out their mouths because they have other agendas that's coming out their mouth, and it's fucking ridiculous. I'm a responsible father. I was paying $1,500 in child support and still taking care of my fucking kids. I paid for their private school. I paid for their clothes. So what the fuck was she doing with the goddamn money? Taking vacations and trips. That's what the fuck she was doing. Yeah. How about that?
I'm curious about the perspective from a female. What you got, Janelle?
Number one, you can't say that without taking responsibility for the woman that you picked. It ain't nobody being kidnapped here. So if the woman picked a guy that wasn't good for her, then you picked a woman that wasn't good for you. That washes that comment out. Second,
but I was responsible though. That's the difference.
What she
I was
said
responsible.
was,
That's the difference. The difference. I was responsible. Yeah, I raised all three of them to be great young men. My oldest just graduated from college. My next one getting ready to graduate from college too. I did that. She had nothing shit to do with it. All she was an egg donor.
Okay, Gillum, let me say this, okay? Because this is a panel discussion, and we're going to get this clear right in the beginning. Just because somebody has an opinion doesn't mean it's an attack against you. I don't think that she said anything about all men. I think she was talking about her experiences. And if you look at statistics, her numbers are actually factual. So how about we have a panel discussion about the facts that she mentioned?
Okay, Fred, what you got on this thing?
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
It's interesting when you listen to the rhetoric, right? Because
that's exactly what it is. Call it what it is. Preach on, preacher.
We can all inclusive with each other agree that everybody's going to have their own experience. And Danielle, I do agree with you. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you chose him or he chose you. What is. And I think at the time, you know, everybody, like me and Ephraim talk about, you know, when you bring it to the basics of it, you was fucking. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, these are after effects. This is the residual shit from fucking. And at the end of the day, when you decided to lay down, none of these things that we're talking about even made sense. You wasn't thinking about that. You was thinking about getting your rocks off. Now, here's the sad part that I think, because I hear everybody talk about men need to stand up, whatever. That's a whole conversation. Women need to stand up and stop doing. That's a whole nother conversation. The part that you're lacking is the emotional well-being of the child. And at the end of the day, that child did not choose to be here to have two indigent parents who like to fight with each other and can't get along. And it's sad because in those relationships, you see the child take the blunt of the bullshit. And technically, it's a form of abuse because you're emotionally abusing that child based on the fact that you two motherfuckers act like kids and can't get along because you lack spiritual maturity. It is what it is. It's going to continue to happen. You can talk about the socioeconomic things that caused it to become this way. I mean, there's like Ephraim said, it's a lot of meat on that bone. But at the end of the day, I come back to the child. Right, and the child deserves to have a healthy environment in which it can foster its talents, its abilities, and its moral obligation to society. But if all it's surrounded with is bullshit ass toxicity, you know, doesn't have a stable home, you got mama spending all the money on her personal needs, you know, the child is still lacking not just financially but emotionally. So that's what I look at when I hear it.
Wow. Cutter, man, I'm curious about your perspective on this. I know you ain't no father, but I know you got an opinion. What are we talking about?
Told you. I think Kurt pretty much said it. It's in English. You said a lot. It's a lot of meat on the bone, man. The blame game is what I'm tired of. I'm tired of the blame game. Because responsibility has to be taken on both ends. As my grandma Helen used to always say, it takes two to tango. The only issue with households that are unwed in parenting is the fact that these are two adults that don't have to do what each other says. They don't really have to compromise. They don't really have to.
No.
They don't really have to do anything they don't want to do. When you're in the same household, it makes a difference because now you're a family. And without that family unit, you're asking for a turmoil. You're asking for things to not go as though they should depending on the adults involved. The majority of people that are involved that are having these issues are immature motherfuckers with trauma, who haven't figured out that it's really not about them. It's not about you. And as long as you have two adults who are fighting for control, you're gonna have these issues. Period. You're gonna have those issues. Child support exists for these reasons. The government said, look, you motherfuckers can't get along. Y'all fucking up our program over here. We got shit to do. So we gonna implement the law that says the custodial parent is responsible for the child, and the parent who ain't there, you gotta pay. And as long as y'all motherfuckers ain't getting married, this is what y'all gotta do. Y'all gotta come through us. Gotta come through us now. And that's as a result that this is what you're dealing with, man. This is what you're dealing with. I say the problem, the solution to the problem is simple. Don't have a baby mama. Get fucking married before you have kids. Now, if you get divorced, cool. We understand. Shit happens. But be responsible adults and goddamn give these kids a fair chance. Give yourselves a fair chance at parenting first. Before you say, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm gonna put your ass on child support, blah, blah, blah. Then complain about the aftermath of not being married and trying to co-parent and shit. That's my take, man.
I think that, Ephraim, when we have conversations like this and we're talking about the pandemic of single parenting, we talked about this on the show earlier this week on Wednesday.
Yep.
And I agree with the previous host when he was saying that he's tired of the blame game. I just said that on the show the other day. The thing is not, oh, she this, he that. The conversation is exactly what she said in the video. There are strategic things that's happened in society. There's a lot of reasons why our homes are broken, but it's both of our responsibilities, both mom and dad, to rebuild the structure of our communities and in our homes. So there are things that has attacked the woman. There are things that have attacked the man that have been a reason why we have both contributed to the broken home, but there's also a responsibility on both of us not to. Yes, we need to make wiser decisions, more responsible decisions, instead of just going and sleeping around with somebody that you don't see yourself being with for the rest of your life, because you could just be trying to have a fling, but accidents happen and then boom, you got a baby, and then now what? So at the end of the day, self-discipline goes a long way. If you stop sleeping around with people you don't see a future with, that will eliminate having a lot of unwanted babies. And then the second responsibility is this. If we're going to talk about the resources that's out here, a lot of what she said is accurate. Child support does not pay for everything that a mom or dad that's a single parent has to do when they're raising their child on their own. For example, my daycare cost by itself is $13.50 a month. Now, my baby benefits from me paying my car payment. My baby benefits from me having running water. My baby benefits from me having electricity. My baby benefits from me having to be able to take him back and forth. I pay healthcare costs out of my check. Like a lot of expenses. His quality of life is based on how I live on a day-to-day basis since I'm the primary parent. At the end of the day, if somebody gave me $1,300 or $1,500 a month, that's barely covering daycare, not to mention Pampers and formula and wipes and anything else. So at the end of the day, you can't compensate a single parent for the commitment that they make into that child's life to be present on a consistent basis. And I agree with her when she said, a lot of us parents were, especially us women, we didn't sign up to be single parents. I know I did not.
Oh, no. No, I'm not letting you off that easy. How can you make a choice to have sex and then say you didn't want to take all the consequence that came with it? That doesn't make sense to me. When you perform the act of it, you can't just dodge over to the variable. The basic point in having sex, the thing that comes out of that is a child, not a nut. So when you choose,
I didn't say my children were accidents.
I'm not saying
said
they
I
were.
didn't
What I'm
sign them to
saying
be
is, no.
a
Let me
single
clarify.
parent.
But let me clarify. Everything is a choice. Okay? Do you agree?
Yeah.
There's choices with everything. So every parent, whether they're male or female, that chooses to be a single parent, the key word I just said was chooses. It's a choice. You can give it up if you're tired. There's another parent over there. That's number one. So I don't want the pity parties about what you got to pay for and all this and that when you're making that your choice. That's the part of having sex and having a baby. You got to take care of it. I mean,
okay, like let me give you an example of a portion out of my book. I was married. I was physically beaten for 7 years, and then I got out of that relationship, and I had 2 children from that marriage. Should I not have left the relationship? Do I deserve to raise my kids by myself? Do I deserve to struggle financially because I got myself into a healthier situation?
I'm not going to take away from what you've been through. The point that I guess I'm trying to make is that even at the end of the day, you chose that man that did that to you, right? For whatever various reason that was still a choice that you had in dealing with him. Now, unfortunately, the effects didn't come out the way that we wanted it to, right? And that's in turn what I feel bad for. But at the end of the day, the reality is that those are still his children, despite you and him's relationship, whether it was healthy or toxic. Right. And if you ever feel as a parent that it becomes too much for you, there is a father over there. Now, whether you give him that responsibility or whether he pushes for the responsibility, it's still a choice up to you that's open. So
you would give your child to an abusive parent? You really have that choice if they're not healthy?
You want me to answer that? So let me say this, because this is one thing that kills me. I just love about society. Because you all make and I'm not saying you all personally, but I'm saying the social norm is that abuse only happens with a man abusing a woman. Nobody has the conversation about women who abuse men, right? And see the smirk on her face? Because it's laughable when you think about it.
Because we just had that conversation on Wednesday. Did we not, Ephraim? We just had that conversation on Wednesday.
I got you. So they paint men in this social construct of masculinity that says that you can't be abused by a woman. And abuse doesn't come physically. It comes emotionally. It comes spiritually. So if you ask me that question, are my kids with an abusive parent? Hell fucking yeah, that bitch is abusive. And unfortunately, I sat in that shit for years as a man thinking that I'm doing the right thing because I'm providing. I'm taking care of my household. So even though she may not have wanted to work, I still handled my business. I still paid the same daycare that you're talking about, even with a woman that stays in the home, that doesn't work, that doesn't cook, that doesn't clean. Now, I ain't crying about it because I chose her. That was my choice. And in turn, that became my lesson. But in turn, as I move forward, I understand the problem, so I mitigate it in the future by making better solutions, healthier solutions when I choose my partners now.
I think that you basically agreed with me because that's what I said in the beginning. We have to take better responsibilities of the choices that we make. I think I took that responsibility in the beginning.
So my question to you is this, because we've identified the problem, right? And we can expound on that in many different ways, talking about how it exists. But my question is, because I tend to be very solution-minded, what's the solution, and then what's the priority of growth spiritually and childhood development, emotional and relationship development, all for the betterment of not you and your ego or him and his pocket and his ego, but what about the child? What are the steps in providing a healthy environment for the child? That's what I want to know.
Well, like I said from the beginning, it starts with who you pull your pants down for.
Well, that's already done. We ended the problem.
No. I'm talking about what we can do to correct things from continuing down the same path. We need to teach our children, and we need to be more responsible with who we pulling our pants down for.
Now that helps.
Hold on.
That helps in the future. Well, what about now?
That was that little dodge she did right there. That little.
Right. Come on, Chris.
Well, what? So my question is this.
Hold on, Lando. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I'm ready. Go ahead.
I'm trying to feel like I'm on Clubhouse right now, trying to get it. Hey, look. Hey, hold on.
Go ahead, Cud. I got you. Go ahead, bro.
I think the issue that we're skipping over is we're right on the cusp of it, but we're like overlooking this real issue, and that is the issue of personal feelings.
That was my question.
Does your personal feelings have anything to do with this person as a parent? Your personal experience of them. Hold on. Your personal experience with them has almost zero to do with their ability or whether or not they're a good parent or not. Now, they were lousy to you, obviously.
Right.
But here's the issue I have with parents. You take your personal feelings towards this person or this man, especially like women, I say women because they 9 times out of 10 have custody of the children. They take their personal feelings about this man, their experiences with that relationship with that man, whether it was a bad marriage, good marriage, at the end of the day, it ended in divorce, separation, or whatever, breakup. They will take that experience, that trauma they experienced with that man, and apply it to their parenting. Meaning, oh, I don't want him to see them kids because he did me like this and he did me like, so he ain't finna do my son and he ain't gonna do my daughter like that, and who, and I don't like the way he raises his voice and he's raises me like that, and I don't like that. Wait.
Come on, Chris.
Who the fuck are you to tell your kids that they don't have a right to see their father because of the way he treated you?
Yeah.
That's arrogant as fuck. And it's selfish.
Are you asking me that question?
No, I'm speaking in general. I'm
asking that question. So how you know he wasn't gonna be a good father?
Hold on. This don't happen to be.
Are you talking to me?
Well, wait, we're gonna let Cutter finish his point so we can because I'm curious about so you're gonna speak in place of women because we don't have any other women here. But I'm speaking in general because I'm pretty sure that I'm not saying that you have done this, but I'm saying many women do it, and I'm pretty sure you or yourself or know somebody who has done this. Allow themselves to be so indwelt with how their marriage or their relationship with that man went that they utilize that trauma to exercise
ostracize.
To exercise evil, to keep. Some women even go as far as keeping their children away from the man based on their feelings about that man. When in reality, his ability to be a father has nothing to do with their relationship. And that's what I want to touch on that.
Well, there's actually a couple of points that I can make on that if you'll let me make them without being interrupted.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna do that. Go ahead.
Okay, so first off, let me say, just because I'm the only woman on the panel doesn't mean that I speak for all the women that you guys are referring to, because I don't agree with that. I have had my daughter go and visit her father in a whole nother state for a whole summer when she was only 4 years old. So in my opinion, let me talk from a mature woman's opinion. When you're dealing with somebody in a relationship and you see that they have certain bad habits that will put your children in a bad situation or in danger, or teach your children certain things, in my opinion, I have seen women say, I'm not putting my children in that environment, i.e., like you say, I've seen certain women that have done X, Y, and Z, the examples that you have given. I have seen women say, my baby daddy's a drug dealer, my kids ain't going over there. My baby daddy has different women coming in all the time. He leaves my babies with these women. He be gone all night. My babies don't even know who these women are. My baby's not going over there. My baby daddy don't take care of them properly. Like, let's say that he's not doing well. He doesn't have food in his house. He doesn't have the means to provide a safe comfortable environment for them. Or let's just say he's just downright disrespectful, neglectful, things like that. If you live with a man, especially if you've been married to him, a lot of times you get to know certain things about their character. And it's not always, oh, I have a personal feeling about what you did to me, and that's why you can't see the kids. Most of the women that I have known have had their restrictions put up for very good reasons. I know that when I have not allowed my children's father to see them, sometimes they might have been causing emotional damage to my children. Like, for instance, my oldest son that's 27. And see, I'm talking from the experience of seeing the consequences. I'm not still just talking about I'm raising babies. I got a 27-year-old. I know the consequences of certain parentings and how they've affected my 3 older children, 27, 22, and 20. So what I'm saying is my oldest son's father would say, oh, I'm going to come pick you up, and don't show up. And then my son is like, has this rage and this anger that he is struggling to deal with, that's showing out in school and doing certain things like that. And then every 3 months, his dad wants to pop up and act like father of the year, get him all excited, make him feel like he's going to be a constant figure in his life. Now, I promise I'm going to come next weekend, and it'd be another 3-4 months before my son sees him. You don't realize the type of hurt that inconsistency does to children and things like that. So sometimes I have seen mothers make decisions to not let the father see their children just because of the type of environment that they feel will be harmful to their children in the long run. And unless you're there watching your children every day, you may not always get to see those consequences.
So one thing that you brought up that I want to keep going, I want to keep doubling back to it. Because even in the examples that you gave, the one thing that was affected was what?
My children.
The child. So in the effect, and this is where I say, where do we become solution minded? Because just even in the examples that you got and that you brought forth, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, yeah, I know that one. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a daddy that used to do that too. You know what I mean? And yes, there's emotional trauma that happens, but one of the steps are we getting these children therapy? Right? Do they have somebody that they can go to with a safe place to talk about these feelings, and then how to cope with them and deal with them? Right? Because there are childhood therapists. Right? Is the parent getting the therapy? When does the woman heal from the abusive relationship? How is she healing in that relationship? Right? Did she just move on to another guy? You know what I'm saying? Did you take your time to understand and self-reflect that all those choices came from you? Even if you don't like them, you have to hold yourself accountable, because whether you like that woman or whether you like that man, you still had that. That's the first part of healing, your own accountability. And then secondly, once again, it goes back to the child. What are we giving that child if he's throwing out those tantrums? Are we just letting them go unanswered? And then I'm trying to talk you through it as a parent who's traumatized myself. That's not healthy. That's not going to work. So once again, back to the solutions, because they're there. And these type of things are what lead to mental illness in the community. This is what leads to little girls hoeing themselves out. And you see in videos of 14-year-old little girls getting trains run on them. You know what I'm saying? You're in a society where sex is promoted. And if you're lacking your own self-esteem as a child growing up, because you're in a toxic environment, because I'm dealing with 2 adults who are still broken, trying to raise me, but they're breaking me when they should be building me. Where's the solution?
I think that personally, for me, I can only speak on my experience, but I can speak on some ideas I have for solutions. As far as my son went, every child is different. I have my oldest son, and then I have my 2 other adult children as well. And they're all different. They all handled their experiences differently. However, my oldest son is still dealing with that. And we did go to counseling, but it did not help him at the time, because all he wanted was what he wanted. He wanted his father to keep his word. And so even still today, my adult children are still seeking therapy because they're still dealing with some of the trauma caused when they were younger. So I talk a lot about in my book the consequences of fatherlessness and the importance of having fathers in the home. So I don't come from a male bashing woman's perspective, but I do come from a perspective of consistency and doing what's in the best interest of the child, no matter whether the father is a single parent or whether the mother is a single parent. That doesn't matter to me.
Now, Ephraim, I want to double back on kind of the beginning of that video, because let's talk about, I think for me, when we were growing up, right, I can say that my mother at one point was a single mother, right? And she did her best to ensure that we were cultured and educated, and that whether my father chose to come by or not, that at least I understood what was going on, right? I still had a yearning even when he missed my birthday. You know what I mean? I never took it personal. It was like, that's my daddy. And I think my mother did a good job giving reason as to why these things happen, to where I never took it personal. Now, my other siblings, they different. You know what I mean? They took it personal, but me, I didn't. I got a chance to see black men in a very formidable fashion. You know, I saw black doctors and black attorneys when I went to church. I had great mentors of other black men that stepped in the role of maybe what I lacked from a father figure, or even having a stepfather at home, right? I was surrounded by beautiful, intelligent black men where they gave us books to read like Langston Hughes. They gave us books to read like Carter G. Woodson, right? We were taught about who we were as black men. Ephraim, you remember that, Chris? You remember, what is that? I, the black man, am the original man, right? The first man to walk this vast and ponderable earth. I am the single quintessence of universal blackness. I have lost my force, my land, my language, and in essence, my life. And I will seize it back, so help me. Now, that was given to me when I was 16. That's what formed me in my mind state to my father used to say, Curtis, it doesn't matter how articulate you are. It doesn't matter how much money you got. When they look at you, you are a Negro. And he said, it's up to you to transcend every stereotype by the way that you carry yourself and the way that you speak, your intelligence factor. Who are you? So for me, it's the challenge to not just men and women, but it's a challenge to a community. You know what I'm saying? Because the role models we have now, we don't have any. You know what I'm saying? The ethics and the moral compass that we had, it's pretty much gone from what I see, because it's all based on monetary value of what you can get and what you can give to get it. And that comes from a lack of environment, and not just what you have in the home, but what you have in your social scheme, what you involve your children in. What fucking activities are they involved in? My mother had me in art classes, to piano, to Boy Scouts, to nigga, you name it, it was there. Because she wanted you to go here, be active, so you ain't thinking about the other shit you don't have at home. Solutions to problems. And I watched my mother as a social worker, you know what I mean, provide a lot of those solutions.
So let me ask you this, because I was raised by a single mother as well. My father was killed in a car accident. However, I come from a big family. And so my mom had the support of her siblings, her parents, etc. We lived around the corner from a Boys and Girls Club. We lived around the corner from a community center. We could go there, we could play pool, we can go swimming, we could play games, we could talk to an adult. We had church members that we could go to. Nowadays, since we're talking about current society, people can't be trusted more often. So you're not leaving your children with the same amount of people that you felt like you could trust back in the days. And the cost of living has gone up so much that if you're a single parent, more than likely you have more than one job, or you're working overtime, or you have a side hustle. Like, when do you have time to fit in all these extracurricular activities?
You got to make time. I made time as a single father. I took care of it. My son was in basketball. My son was in basketball. They was the YMCA because they were important to me. They were my priority because I brought them on this earth So they were my priority at the beginning, at beginning and the end. Ephraim will tell you, I was everywhere. I had 3 jobs and I was everywhere.
Did you have a support group? Did you have any help at all?
I was the support group.
No, did you have any help at all?
When I got divorced, I was the support group. No, I had nobody but me, and I made it happen. It's all about the will and the want at the end of the day. It's all about the will and the want, because I grew up without a father. I understood in my mind what I wanted my father to be, and I was everything to my kids that I wanted my father to be. If they played
in my opinion, I prioritize my kids' safety and education. So one of the things that I have always felt was important to invest in is the area that we lived in. Normally, I live in an area that's usually more expensive to live in because I want my kids to go to good schools and I want them to not be around gangs and I want them to be safe. But living in those areas, I've had to work my butt off. And I don't know how you could be at every game, but I couldn't do it. And it wasn't because I didn't make them a priority. I wanted to make sure them having a roof over their head, clothes on their back, food in their mouth, a quality of lifestyle was a priority. And I made sure that they had what they needed so that they can do extracurricular activities, but I didn't always have that time.
So you make a good point right there. I think both of you do, just on different extremities, because you're talking about, Orlando saying, hey, man, I worked, 3 jobs to do this, and this because that was my will. And I hear you saying from an economic standpoint, hey, I moved into these neighborhoods. It still comes back to money. Okay. Now, in that video, they talk about the programs and they go, okay, welfare, child support. Those are the only 2 government programs. And then it's like they've been demonized, right? Like it's bad if you on welfare. It's bad if you on child support. It doesn't matter. There's white people on welfare and child support. It's not color. It's social. It's economic. Now, just like there's those type of programs, you also have other programs for housing. There's programs for community development, right? There's grants and loans and funding. We don't deem those as bad. But because we don't know about those opportunities, it keeps us confined within a certain narrative that as a culture we continue to give ourselves, right? And we continue to paint the narrative in our minds that I'm a single mother and I got to struggle. This nigga ain't no good. I got to put him on child support. There are other options out there to free yourself economically to where you don't have to depend on either one, which now allows you as a group, a collective, to work intangibly with each other, yet individual of yourself, if that makes sense, because you're aware now of the resources that are there. So, yeah, welfare, that's the only one that they choose. But there's grants, there's programs, there's all types of things that are there, free information. But if you don't know where to get the information, that's still going to keep you with that same narrative.
On the female side, on the men's side, it's like, it's emotional because you're attached to it. It's like, this is me and also my perspective and my circumstances that I'm still sour about. And that's what you kind of deal with. My question to you, Danelle, I notice even with my wife, I ask her too, because she does it. And I'm sure men do it too. We all kind of have this biasness based on gender. And do you think that you have a favoritism towards circumstances or narrative stories, whatever the situation being presented to you? Do you think that you have a biasness towards women, that blind eye towards that versus being more on the balanced, equal ground when you're looking at these circumstances and variables?
Absolutely not. I'm a truth teller and I'm a stander for right. However, I'm also a woman first. So I understand a woman's perspective, obviously easier, and I could relate to a woman. But in regards to bias, in my opinion, when someone is biased, that means they refuses to see a different opinion. I don't feel like I have that approach. I feel like if I'm presented with some facts, we talk about it, just like we did on the podcast on Wednesday. I said a lot of things that I felt were wrong that women are doing, that is a stereotype against single fathers and things like that. However, I feel like when the video first started, the reason why it came as a he-her kind of struggle is because immediately it was, I don't know who the hell she's talking to. And I think that's the problem that we have in our communities. We want to be so quick to be defensive instead of hearing the narrative of what the other person is saying, getting an understanding, and seeing how we can work together to help each other in the areas that we both struggle. I believe that a lot of what she said was factual. I don't believe that it's against all men, and I don't believe that there aren't very good fathers out there. But I do believe that she was defending herself, because it sounded like when the video first started that it was something about Black mothers, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, and my interpretation of the video is that she was defending Black mothers against whatever was said, not necessarily just to attack men. So in regards to defending what was said against Black mothers, and I think that she was absolutely accurate. If you look at the statistics, most of the single parents out here are Black mothers. And if you look at the statistics, most of the women the salary median, out of all classes, who gets paid the least? Black women. And if you think about the fact that, yes, Black women and men make a decision to make babies, it shouldn't be because you made that decision, you take a bigger responsibility. If I made the decision and you made the decision, I feel like anything that's benefiting this child should be an equal and shared responsibility. Not more so on the man, not more so on the woman. It should be an equal and shared responsibility with the kid's best interest at heart.
Well, one of the things I heard that she said was, you know, we Black women, we're educated, we have degrees, right? I heard that comment, and my thought was, oh, okay, yeah, you educated, you got degrees, but you still chose a man that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? And you still having problems dealing with being a single mother. Just because you have a degree doesn't justify it and make it like it's okay. And this is soaking my wound because I got a degree. You still got the problem. You're a single mother. Hopefully, when you got your degree, you figured out how to choose a better man.
Goddamn.
Some deductive reasoning.
Well, see, the thing is, you don't know what you don't know until you know what you don't know. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people out here that call themselves successful, and they broken in a lot of areas. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have to have more compassion for people, because we make bad decisions in areas that we weak in too. Everybody makes decisions based on what they know. And I made a lot of bad decisions in who I've chosen as a mate, but I did the best with what I knew at that time.
Yep, ain't that the truth?
Yes, definitely. I agree.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this what I don't like about African American women. What they say is, well, I made a bad choice. But you got to give that man an opportunity to be a father. You can't take it. You can't take his opportunity away.
But it's not
away.
just African American women that hold their kids away from the father.
Hold on, relax. Listen. So you cannot take the opportunity away from that man because of the decision that you made and the strife between you and him to not let him be a father.
Hold on,
you can't say
because,
you can't say the way he treats you is the way he treats his children. So you cannot take that opportunity away from him to prove himself. If he proves himself to be a bad father, that's totally different. So
let me give you a scenario, and I want you to answer my question from a male's perspective. Since we got a lot of questions from a woman's perspective, let me ask you a question. Let's say you meet a woman, you want a baby. You want a baby. You feel like you're ready for a baby. So you tell this lady, I want to have a baby with you, and I want to be with you for the rest of my life. And she says, I don't want to be a single parent. I want to get married. And he says, I got these legalities, whatever, but here goes a promise ring. Here goes this. We gonna get married. Let's have a baby. We practicing. We together for some years. I'm ready to have a baby. So this woman gives this man a baby, and he's like, I just don't want a relationship. I changed my mind. But if you don't want to take care of the baby by yourself, you can give me custody.
Well, first of all, if he ain't married you shouldn't be having no baby in the first place. That's number one, because he's not committed to the relationship. He's not committed to the family at all. So that's your decision to make. So you made that decision because of promise. A promise ain't shit. I can promise I'm gonna win $1 million. That shit don't mean nothing because I ain't winning shit. So the promise don't mean anything. The promise does not mean anything. If he not walking down the aisle with you and not having a baby with you and not being responsible, you know he ain't responsible. But in your mind, you say, "Oh, I can change him to be responsible." No, that motherfucker ain't responsible from the beginning.
Right? He is who he is. You saw it in his eyes.
He is who he is. So you should have a baby
but
with
I'm
him.
talking about from a male's perspective. What is he responsible for? What is he responsible for?
My thing is this.
Because obviously she's responsible for her choices. What is he responsible for?
And your response should be, no, we're not having a baby till we get married, till I say that you're responsible.
So let me back up. Let's go here, because I'm all about accountability, and I think women tend to shy away from their own accountability in this, right? Because here's the point, and I'm gonna make this very crass. He was a good enough man when you let him come inside of you. Bottom line. But now that the child's conceived, he's not a good enough man because of your emotional things that you feel about him. It's emotional. You know what I'm saying? He was good in the beginning because he was feeling great. So you had sex. And what's the process of sex? You have a baby, right? And whose choice is that to let that man come inside of you? It's yours. You made the choice to have sex. He can foster you. He can push you. Now, unless it's rape, which in 80-90% of the time, no, it ain't that. It's that you are horny too, and you wanted to have sex. Bottom line. Now, you have the choice to go, do you have on a condom? There's a condom. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm on birth control. At the end of the day, it's still a risk because the whole purpose in having sex is to conceive, not to bust a nut. Bottom line.
But I hear the men on the panel bringing it back to being a woman's responsibility when we've already established that it's a joint responsibility. So the question that I ask,
it's not joint until
it's
you
not
agree.
Joint. When you're not married,
you
it's not
agree
joint.
to let me have sex with you. It's your choice. It ain't joint until you say, okay, baby, you can have sex with me.
It takes two.
Right, and the choice is up to who?
Both people.
No, it's not. No, you're missing it. Can I have sex with you without you being in agreement?
Can I have sex with you without you being in agreement without rape?
We're not talking about rape.
It's the same thing. Whether it be male or female.
It's not.
We need both people's opinions. We need both people to agree.
No, baby, listen to me. If we are in a relationship, right, you are the woman. That is your body. You are Mother Earth. You are Queen. I can't be in God's image unless I have you. You are the creator. Now watch this. Watch this. You are the creator. Woman is the creator. I can't be in likeness of God's image without the womb of the woman. So it is your choice on what man you choose to conceive with. Many men can approach you and want to have sex with you, baby, but you make the choice on which one of them niggas you want to let slide in you. So this is where I go. Stop skirting the accountability. And this is what women do. They like to talk about the bullshit as variable after effects, but it was your choice. You had a choice of Tyrone. You had a choice of the little gay dude you go get shoes with. You had a little choice of the nigga you put in the friend zone. You got the nigga at work that you call your work husband. You know what I'm saying? You got many choices throughout the day. And at the end of the day, which one do you choose to let slide up in you? It's your choice.
I think that is very sexist. Because
it's the truth.
It's not sexist at all. It's the truth. I wish we had the live comments coming up right now. Because I know for a fact that there is an option out there for men to choose. The ratio was 10-1.
Wait, let me tell you something.
Listen. Hold on. Men, we do not choose a motherfucking thing.
Come on.
We approach and we hunt. And if we hunting you and you say, hey,
so basically
I'm gonna give you
anybody that lets you in, you just go in, you don't make no choices?
No. We are hunters. If we hunting you, we hunting you. And if you say no, the answer's fucking no.
That is the most delusional mindset.
Oh my goodness.
That is the most delusional mindset.
I can't have sex with a woman. I can't have sex with a woman until she tell me I can.
Everybody has a choice.
Oh man.
Hey, listen. I can't have sex with a woman until she tell me yes.
And
if she tells me no, we not having no fucking sex.
Hey, wait a minute. Because earlier she called that what? That's rape, Danielle.
If I take it from you, it's rape too. Don't you know men get raped?
What?
Men get raped too.
Well, yeah, in jail and all that other shit, but we ain't talking about
they get raped at home. Y'all want to talk about the fact that men can get abused. No, y'all want to talk about the fact that men can get abused, but you don't want to talk about the fact that they can't get raped. Come on.
You skirting that. You skirting your own account.
No, you guys are sexist right now.
We're not sexist. It's the truth. Hey, listen.
Truth. It's y'all truth. But you look at the statistics of how many men report that they were raped or molested.
Well, the statistics.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that right there.
I just got one question. That's all I've been trying to ask is one question. Danelle?
I'm listening.
How many men have you conquered?
How many men have I conquered?
How many men have you went after and conquered them? Like, how many men have you approached for a whatever it was, relationship, sex, whatever? How many men have you set out to
pursue,
and you went after him and you got him?
First off, you don't want to ask me that question.
I just did.
No, you don't want to ask me that question. And let me tell you, most of the time, a woman knows when she wants somebody. Most of the time, y'all are so clueless, y'all don't even realize if she sent you to pick
you making that point for us. You making our point for us.
No, my point is simply this. My point is simply this. Y'all choose to.
I asked you a question. How many have you conquered? How many men have you set out to pursue and you got exactly what you desired from that man? No, he didn't approach you. He didn't, hey, how you doing, Mr. How you doing? Beautiful. Da, da, da. You went after him. You see,
the difference is you guys see things as being conquered and stuff. I don't conquer or get conquered. Like your whole vocabulary is immature to me.
What size skates do you wear?
I'm sorry.
Well, you skating around these questions. I just want to buy you some skates.
No, I don't have to word my answer around your perception. Like, I don't agree with being conquered.
You don't have to. I've never said anything about you being conquered. I just asked you how many men have you went.
I don't believe in conquering other people. Nobody is your possession.
Oh. I ain't saying anything about anybody being anybody's possession.
When you say conquered, what do you mean?
How many men have you pursued in your life?
Pursue meaning aggressively, physically, none.
Exactly.
So how the hell can you tell them?
That doesn't mean that a woman doesn't have her way of going after what she wants.
I never said that, but okay.
So then what does your question mean?
You just answered it. You said none.
None, exactly.
Okay, so what's your point?
The point is
you made my point.
So I'm explaining to you in layman's term. Men, we hunt. And as we hunting, we have to have a woman permission to keep the hunt going on. Because if a woman says no, we stop hunting. Because that means she don't want me. That means I can't get no ass. That means I can't get none of that. That means she don't want to be bothered with me. And she will tell you that she don't want to be bothered with me. Because at the end of the day, the ball's in your court. If you tell me no, we done. If you tell me yes,
that's a man's perspective, but then I know a lot of women that have chased men too.
That's a man's truth.
Got it. I understand that, but that's not always a woman's truth.
But even in the case of a woman chasing a man, it's still her choice because it's
still her choice.
It's her body.
That's a male's perspective, but I know the women that didn't get chosen don't feel that way.
A man, look, a woman could be what's the show back in the day with Monique and the other little fat little girl, little chubby girl.
Are you talking about?
Man, it's not. She chased Professor Ogilvy all around the college.
Exactly.
But guess what? Even if Professor said, you know what? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, fuck it. Let's get it wrong. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? And then in the moment, she said, you know what? I changed my mind.
Who choice?
Guess what? Guess what? What is he gonna do?
He gonna put his pants on and leave the room.
So do you think that never happens to women?
Okay, I'm confused from a physiological standpoint, right? Because when I know when I took sex education, right, it showed, you know what I'm saying? There's a hole in there that you got to go in it. You got to go in it, which means she got to open her legs, like when she having a pap smear and everything, and he checking. You know, you still got to open them up, and then I got to go in it. I can't go in it if you don't open it up and you don't say okay.
And it ain't no permission. You can't go nowhere without a permission.
When you knock to Orlando, if I come to your house right now,
why are we going in circles? Why? Okay, you know what? Why are we going in circles about this? This is stupid to me. And you also gotta have a hard dick too.
Exactly.
But it's still gotta have permission though.
Every woman that you in the bed with.
Hey, so when the DEA trying to break in the door to get the drugs out the drug house, they got this big thing that they ramming in that bitch. But the door ain't opening unless you open the door.
That's bullshit.
It's not
if I break down the door, they call it rape. What do you mean?
Exactly.
And the same thing, you can't tell me that you ain't seen no cases of a man saying that he was raped.
Well, so,
normally by another man, but
yeah,
that was in the prison.
By another dude.
So wait. So we got, because I guess I want to just kind of figure out what. So we know that men are not typically raped by women. It don't work like that. That's not a common basis. And I know you don't want to stand on that hill. There's no reason to.
I'm not saying that it's as common. I'm not saying it's as common as women getting raped, just like single fathers and good fathers ain't as common as single mothers and good mothers. When you're making comments for people to be listening and you're saying stuff like men don't get raped, like that's extremes.
Okay, E. All men on camera. How many times y'all been raped?
Oh my goodness!
I guess I'm still trying to just dead the issue because it's a hill that you shouldn't stand on because there's no reason to. We don't get raped on a normal basis in comparison to women. Because that's what we're talking about. In comparison to who? In comparison to women. Once you put it in a measuring, once you have a measuring stick to compare it against, then there's no reason to even go there. It's not enough to even use it as a basis by which to argue against. We're not arguing.
So if that's the case, why do we argue about how single fathers do this and that? When you look at the statistics, the comparison is slim to like 80-some% to 10 to 15%.
So if you remember, and we went through this on Wednesday, so the reasoning why, and we went through that stat, the reason why is because most states, if not all, give women the custodial parenting. They mean that when the child comes out, women, the mothers rather, get the custodial parenting rights over the child. The father has to go through the legitimation process. So if you automatically get the child and they're running, remember the stats are going to show that because fathers have to earn their rights. Mothers are given the right. So if I give you something and then we take a poll about based on who has the most of it, who you think is going to have more of it?
You definitely going to win.
How many states have that law? Because California
almost all.
No, they don't. California does not.
Janelle,
that's a goddamn lie. I live in California.
Can I say something? Because I got a baby mama. I've been married twice, and I've got children from a marriage, but I also have a baby mama out of California. Okay? And all she needed to do was go down to the county and say, here's his name. All of a sudden, I got some paperwork talking about this, that, and the other. What? Now, you can answer it. And how you answer the summons that they send you, that determines everything. right? But at the end of the day, she still has that. And then they go through this thing called paternity. And they ask you, well, do you want to, if you want to object it, then you can do the paternity thing. And we'll see. Now, if it comes out that it's yours, right, then they go through this thing where they go, in the state of California, they tax you 10% on all past due report. So any child support that you owe is 10%. And I ain't talking yearly, baby. This is monthly.
Monthly.
Right? So the state of California, for them, they get paid on both sides. So it behooves them to always go and support the mother, because it's known that the father, he works to make money. He's the earner. So therefore, they put the ticket on him. And then normally that ticket, it's past due. So he'll come out to court 10, 15,000 behind at 10% every month. Right? And that's once again after paternity. But it doesn't matter if you go to them as a woman, because like Ephraim said earlier, 9 times out of 10, it's the maternal instinct that she's going, hey, he's got to suck off my nipple. I'm breastfeeding him. A man ain't breastfeeding. You know what I'm saying? It's the maternal instinct of you taking care of that child as a mother, which is normally why most children will go with the mother. Man is the earner. They know this. This is the way it's always been. So from an economic standpoint, it behooves them to give them custody. And then guess what? If the woman's on welfare or she's at the state getting Medicaid, guess who they're charging for that? They're charging the man for that. So therefore, what he owes, it gets increased. And they still getting 10%. So she over here crying. Now watch this. I want to show you something. She crying about, well, all I get is this. It was the court that gave it the number.
Hey, you know what else they ask you? They say, let me see your income tax.
Come on. And they judging you. Now wait a minute. Mine is $1,600 a month. What are you talking about?
Mine was $1,500 a month.
Come on.
And I was in my kid's life.
Now watch this. Now let's say you got a job where you making $15 an hour. Let's do the math. You see what I'm saying? And here's the problem. Here's what happens. As a man, when they're taking half of your child support and you walking home with $750 a month going, but I'm taking care of my kids. I'm paying my child support, but I can't live. I'm paying so I got to go get another job.
Hey, and it's up to her if I can see him or not. How about that?
Oh, wait a minute. And then that little bit of time that I get that they give me on the weekends, right? I can go over there and guess what? She just ain't got to answer the door. And then if you call the police, they tell you it's a civil matter.
It's a civil,
and you got to go back to court. So they ain't going to do, man, you can be holding up court petitions. I got this.
They don't give a shit about that.
Judge said. They're going to be
say, you got to take that shit to court.
Take that shit back to court. Now, here's what happens. Watch this economically. So now you get half of your paycheck took. You got to go back to court. You ain't really got enough money. You feel me? So you try to go in what they call pro se. Pro se means, nigga, I'm by myself with no representation. I'm just in here pleading, right? Now, here's how they get you. You be in there pro se. They start. No. Now think about this. Who's the prosecutor work for?
The county of Fresno.
The thing. Okay. Who's the judge work for?
The county of Fresno.
Okay, and she's sitting on the other side with her attorney. Who does he work for? The county of Fresno. On her behalf. Okay, real talk. And you sitting there, who's representing you? Nobody. They got half your check, and you just in there going, hey, man, can I get a little bit more? Can I get a reduction? Just reduce it a little bit. I'm trying to make a little something. And, by the way, when I go by here on this little every other weekend you gave me, she won't open the door. You know what the judge says?
That's not my problem.
That's not my problem. He'll go, ma'am.
Shit. I already know. I been there, that got a t-shirt.
And then guess what they do? They hit you with her attorney fees. Check that
you gotta pay the motherfuckers.
Check that on to you, Bill. And then go on out to court.
Hey, look. And the thing that they say that, well, you need a mental health evaluation.
Wait a minute. Look, man, you don't get it. Like you go back in the courtroom going, well, I did what you said, Judge. I went back over there, but she still wouldn't open the door. He gonna look at her again and go, open the door. I'm paying another ticket.
That's exactly what he says.
Come on. So you further and further and further. So here's where men go. You know what? Man, fuck it. They raping me because, yeah, men do get raped. Here we go. Because they raping you economically because you can't live. Then you trying to see your kid, but then you can't get that. So now you're dealing with the emotional trauma of not being able to see your fucking kid. And then lo and behold, let's say she put an ex parte on you. Oh, you can't come to the house. What are you talking? Which means, hold on, you can't go to basketball games. You can't go to swim meets. You can't go to nothing. And
you got to be 300 yards away.
Hold on, the kid wondering, where's my daddy? See, you can't tell me what I don't know.
Ex parte means rushed.
And?
What do you mean? If she puts an ex parte on you, you can't go to
ex parte, baby, and restraining order. It does not matter. All it is I go before the judge and I can lie about anything. What are you talking about?
Well, I already know that because
so at the end of the day, that shouldn't be a shock.
Now, why are we having this side of the conversation?
Well, because it needs to be had, because y'all say that men ain't good. But what I'm trying to show you is the efforts of a man that are plighted.
What you just expressed happened to me from a man.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what I'm showing you is that baby men go through that too. So at the end of the day, while y'all talk about why ain't men here, this is why they go, fuck it.
No,
I'm done.
I think that I've
you can have them.
But I think that I've said a couple of times in this discussion that it's a joint effort.
It's never a joint effort with emotions involved.
I think that you guys are still fighting male against female. And in my opinion, the problem is that both people share a responsibility.
No, they don't.
And that's where it went left to whose choice it is to have sex and make a baby.
It's not a shared responsibility. If she made the choice to let him sleep with her, she has the choice, and that's her child. She has the choice in getting child support. She has the choice on whether she chooses for him to see the child or not, because she may deem that he's unsafe. You said that yourself. So at the end of the day, where in the fuck does he get a choice in it?
He don't get a choice until he get the right fucking judge.
You got all the choices, baby.
Not somebody that he would see himself spending his life with. He has a choice to keep his zipper up.
Wait a second.
Oh.
Wait. So
my goodness, here we go.
Wait. I see. This reminds me of something. I don't know if you guys can see it. You might be able to kind of play it back. But there's a such thing legally called white privilege.
Oh, women privilege.
It was actually legislated by the U.S. government for hundreds of years. Those who were not white did not receive the same privileges as those who were defined as white, classified as white. Women also went through the same process where they gained privilege, rights, and power over the household and the child. This is legislated. You have that. But this is the catch with white privilege and women's rights and privileges. All you have to do is say it doesn't exist. When the people that are being affected, which is in this case, we're talking about men. Men are telling you, we're having a raw deal here. It's hard to get involved. It's hard to access the same rights and privileges that you have. And then women say, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't exist. Well, the other party that's being negatively influenced and impacted is letting you know, hey man, we're having a problem. We need your help. And it's the same thing. The only way racism will truly change is if those who are privileged will admit that it's happening and then want to help to remove the barriers that have been placed upon the other party. So that's what I'm getting here. I ain't saying that all women are doing this. I'm saying that there are a lot that are.
I'm gonna give you a great example.
Fighting against the example.
So I'm gonna give you a great example. So I went to court. My kids were living in Virginia at the time, and I gave them permission to go to Virginia because I was doing business. I was trying to grow my business at the time. So she married someone else, and they going to Japan. You know what the judge told me? The judge told me, so you allowed them to go to Virginia, and Japan is the same fucking distance. That's what the judge told me. It was a woman judge sitting on the bench, and she said, well, you let them go so they can go to Japan too. And I was like, how does that even make fucking sense?
again,
because women have privilege that men doesn't. So we are already saying automatically that we're deadbeat dads, and we're not. Some of us are not. We're trying to be involved in our children's lives. I had to fight teeth and nail to get my children back to America, to be a father.
The issue here is the issue everywhere. You have a bunch of men telling a woman, hey, look, this is what men experience. Hardships. We've interviewed men on this actual channel, Concrete Reality. We had episodes dedicated to their issues dealing with the court system as baby daddies. How many episodes, E? 4?
Yeah, we got a lot. We still ain't put them out.
We still ain't put them out.
Dealing with their individual issues with the system and them trying to be fathers to their children.
And they all sound alike, don't they?
One of them actually found out through the whole ordeal at the end that he wasn't even the daddy. And went through hell. Went through hell and hot water.
$10,000 in fees, court costs, all that.
Hey, 25 grand. How about that one?
There are men out here telling women, hey, look, not all of us ain't shit niggas. Some of us are actually trying to be involved in our children's life, and I go back to the beginning of what I was saying in the first place. Some women have allowed their personal issues with that man to stand in the way of him being a father. Subconsciously, they know they have the power. They know they got all the power. That's like he's saying. White people will sit up there. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of any white privilege. I've never been.
Even and the other part, even you lack the empathy is lacked. Like when these stories are told and men are breaking their hearts out, and oh, this is what I'm going through in court. I'm trying to deal with my baby mama, trying to see it, such and such. Empathy out the window. And you know what they do? Honestly, you did it too a little bit. All lives matter, not men's lives matter. All of us. It negates the responsibility of what needs to change and pretty much diminishes it and covers it up with this idea that we're all the same and we're all getting the same raw deal. Right. It's not. Everybody's not getting the same raw deal. There are different deals that are raw that are happening, but only one is being acknowledged. But when you say everybody is equal and making the same, everybody ain't getting the same rights. And the only way that changes is if that is acknowledged. Until it's acknowledged, it's going to always be swept under the rug. And it'll just basically be a circular reasoning, because you'll never acknowledge what the real root of the problem is women have to deny or refuse those rights until the fathers get the same rights that they have. And that's not going to happen.
As you can see, I was raised in extreme